Hello there, I am Taylor, and you are listening to the Surviving Maine Podcast. I am back with more thoughts from Liza, this time on the first 4 players voted out after the merge. After we hear her thoughts on those 4 players, I pick her brain a little bit about her thoughts on quitters in the game. There were essentially, if you count Karen, there were 3 quitters in Surviving Maine 2019. So we're going to get Liza's thoughts on that. But first, her thoughts on the first, 3 members of the jury, and also Forrest. Starting with Emily.
Emily. I really like Emily. And I didn't get a good vibe. Not a good vibe. I didn't get a good, perception of her before the game. I didn't expect her to be the person that she was basically at all.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure Emily is the one who sent me a video from a bar bathroom. As her application video. I think it was Emily. And I mean, it worked, and she's in, and she was really, really great. But she is super. I didn't really know what I thought about her beforehand. I was like, yeah, she'll be good. We need women, so I put her in. But she is super thoughtful, and everything she says, you can tell that she's really thinking about what she's saying.
Yes.
And I think she does that outside of the game too, which really helped her in the game, is that she is very methodical in what she's saying and thinking, and make sure that she says the right things in the right manner. And same thing there too. I think that really helped her to build relationships and to kind of find her crew that would keep her around long enough.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Forrest is next.
Forrest. Forrest was a little bit of what I expected in game, based on the conversations I had with him before the game started. Really out there, really goofy. All the attention's on Forrest, which is the way he'd prefer it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and then I didn't expect, I guess, the seriousness behind why he does the things he does, and that he, is gaining the traction and attention for his political stances and the situation that's going on with his son, which he talks a lot about during confessionals. So I think that made it a little more real for me. At first I was like, oh, he's just putting on a show for the camera and, for the other people. But then, as he stayed there longer, I was like, no, I think that this is really who he is as a person. Really out there, really goofy. And that he is using those characteristics in a way to, help him make the changes he thinks need to be made.
Right. Okay. Toby.
I really liked Toby. Right from the beginning. He's a JMG teacher, which already makes me like him because I really like the programs that JMG does.
What's that?
You don't for live in Maine. It's Jobs for Maine Graduates. So it's a program where you, they do resume classes, interview practices, all of those things to help high school graduates get jobs when they graduate.
Nice.
Yeah. And watching his videos and reading his application, I was like, this guy's got a really good chance to win the game. And he, and he did just that. And also when I recognized that him and Katie were on the same tribe, I knew instantly that they were going to, be together and work together well.
What made you think that?
I think part of it, just knowing who Katie is as a person, and then who I thought Toby was, is that they were both, both kind of the same, that they're around the same age, super sporty and athletic, and also one thing that's funny is that Katie's son's name is Toby.
Oh.
So my mom was joking before the game. She was like, her and Toby are going to be buddies because Katie's son's name is Toby. That plays into it a little bit, I'm sure. Yeah, I just think that they're kind of, they have the same values and the same ideas, and that that their gameplay was going to be very similar looking at the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were a good read on that. What about Justin?
Justin was really great. Yeah, and kind of also what I expected in that, he was like rough and tough and ready to go, and he could have cared less about getting up at 11 o'clock at night to go to a tribal council, and he was probably the least affected by that, anyways. It seemed in the moment while I was waking them up, anyways. Yeah, and he was, like I expected, kind of unaffected by the elements, or at least played it off like that. Yeah, and then relying a lot on his like physical and mental toughness to kind of get him through the game.
Yeah. Okay. We had 2 quitters. Well, there was Karen, then there was a quitter pre-jury and a quitter of the jury. So how did you deal with those things?
The whole Karen incident was mostly fine. Other than that she didn't show up and it kind of changed the schedule, but that was the easiest one for me to deal with.
Yeah.
Because we could just like move on really easily and it didn't affect any of the players, at least in the immediate. At that point they didn't know what they were missing and what was going on and who was leaving. So I know that they have strong feelings that later in the game it affected them. But as far as Jasmine goes, it's kind of expected that at least one person's going to quit, and I try to prepare myself for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is really discouraging for myself, and I know that a lot of the times for tribes too it is. But also I'm glad that she took herself out that early in the game and was like, no, this isn't for me, I need to stop, rather than waiting until later in the game when her position meant more to her tribe mates.
Mm-hmm. And really, it's their fault for not voting her out when she asked them to.
Yeah, they could have done it the first time. And it would have made their lives a lot easier, too.
Yeah, whatever.
As far as Forrest goes, I think that was the hardest one for me to take.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it did have the biggest impact on the game. And, Forrest being there could have changed the winner. It could have, set a tie. It could have done a lot of things that would have changed the outcome completely.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the players who were working with Forrest to try to, get him ready for the jury and were thinking about putting him there for their benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if I was in that situation, I'd be really upset and angry about it, especially in such a game-changing time, too.
Yeah. All right, there's Liza's thoughts on quitters and the first 3 members of the jury. 3 really good people. It's too bad things didn't work out better for them. I think this proves to me how much Survivor is based on luck. There was a lot of luck going into a lot of this, and, a lot of strategy, missteps as well. But starting next week, we will be having a weekly podcast with each person voted out, and then the 3 finalists. Ooh, spoiler alert. It's a final 3 on Surviving Maine 2019. So when it gets to that point, it'll be May 12th is the finale. Yay. I will release the podcast, the deep dive interview with the 3rd place finisher of Surviving Maine. And then on May 19th, you'll hear from the runner-up. And on the 26th, you will hear from the winner of Surviving Maine 2019. How exciting. Can you even stand it? Me neither. Okay, so tune in next week when I'll be doing a deep dive interview with the 4th person to make the jury of Surviving Maine 2019.